If you've felt stretched thin lately, if money slips through your fingers faster than you can catch it, and no matter how much you plan or pray, you still feel like you're always one step behind, stay right here with me. Because what you're about to hear may sound impossible at first, until you see it unfold for yourself. Just a few nights ago, Daniel from Chicago messaged me. He said he woke up to find an unexpected deposit of almost $7,200 sitting in his account, less than 48 hours after listening to the same quiet message you're hearing now. Yesterday, Maya from New York told me her small online business, which had been flat for months, suddenly brought in over $15,000 in new orders in just 1 week. No fancy ads, no secret strategy, just one simple shift. They didn't hustle more. They didn't beg the universe to notice them. They didn't repeat complicated rituals for hours a day. They simply let something land. Something so clear that most people miss it because it's too simple to believe. If you're hearing this now, that's not random. Whether you feel ready or not, there's something bigger at work behind the scenes of your ordinary days. A quiet shift in how life wants to bring you more than just barely enough. Most people never notice it. They're too busy chasing, pushing, trying to force what's already waiting at their door. Maybe you've done the usual things too. You've tried staying positive. You've written your goals, taped them to the wall, whispered prayers when worry made sleep feel impossible. Maybe you felt hopeful until reality reminded you of the same old bills and the same tight balance. But what you're about to hear isn't another think positive trick. It's not about forcing more effort out of a tired mind. It's softer and stronger. It's about letting go of the grip that's kept what you want just out of reach, and remembering what was always yours before the world convinced you to doubt it. Stay with me for a moment longer, because this is exactly where most people drift off. They hear something too gentle, too obvious, and the old part of their mind looks for something more complicated, because somewhere along the line, someone convinced them that if it's simple, it can't be real. But you know what's harder than the struggle? Trusting that you don't need to fight anymore, that what you want might be closer than you think, if you'd only stop pushing it away with worry. So here's the part they always miss. The tiny thing Daniel and Maya did first before any checks cleared, before the orders rolled in, before the raise was even offered. They wrote it down once, nothing fancy, just 5 simple words that landed softer than any affirmation or vision board ever could. They told me later it felt silly at first, almost too small to matter, but that tiny moment, when they scribbled it in a notebook or typed it on their phone, shifted something in the room around them. It turned the door handle they thought was locked tight. 5 words. It's already mine. Daniel scribbled it on a sticky note and stuck it to the dashboard of his car. The same old car he used to hate looking at, because the payments felt bigger than the freedom it gave him. Maya typed it under her breath in a message to herself, right before she fell asleep with her phone slipping from her fingers. Daniel whispered it in the hallway at work, not out loud for the world to hear, but in that private voice that always knows what's real, even when you pretend you don't. That's all they did first. No candles. No hours of chanting, just one line that didn't beg, didn't wish, didn't ask for permission. Just a statement of fact. It's already mine. So here's where you make it yours. You don't need to shout it to the ceiling or chant it until your voice goes hoarse. You don't even have to say it out loud if you don't want to. But do this, just once, for yourself. Type it below this video. It's already mine. That simple move, that tiny act of telling your nervous system, we're done begging, is how your bridge starts laying itself down. If you do nothing else today, if you walk away from this and forget every other word I say, just let your fingers write it once. It's already mine. No explanation. No how. No timeline. No bargain with the universe. A simple truth typed once where you can see it later and remember that something shifted right here, not because you forced it, but because you finally let it land. and then breathe. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Feel how strange it is to think you don't have to chase this anymore. How strange it feels to say you're not waiting anymore. How strangely calm it feels when you notice the worry doesn't have to do the work for you. This is the doorway Daniel and Maya walked through. Not a golden gate or some secret technique, just a moment of quiet claiming, while everyone else was still out there looking for a complicated key. And the funny thing is, the moment they stopped begging, the moment they wrote it once and left it alone, the pieces started to line up in the most ordinary ways. A deposit here, a sale there, an offer that seemed to come out of nowhere, because what they'd been hoping for was never out of reach to begin with. It's not about the comment box. It's not about these words. It's about giving your mind something true enough to rest in when the old fears try to keep you standing in the same place. You don't need to force this. You don't need to figure it all out today. Just stay open, stay calm, and keep this doorway close. Subscribe now so when you need to hear this again, when the old story gets too loud, you'll know exactly where to come back and pick up your truth. It's about crossing the bridge of incidents without even realizing you're halfway across until you look back and wonder when exactly everything started to feel different. So if you're still here, type it once. Softly. No performance. No explanation. A quiet fact you get to keep, no matter how loud your old story tries to talk over it. It's already mine. So now you've written it once. Or maybe you whispered it under your breath before your mind could talk you out of it. It's already mine. Tiny words, but you'll see. They live under your thoughts now, like soft roots under the soil you forgot you were standing on. Most people rush right past this. They think, I typed it. I said it. So where's the proof? They go digging in the ground 5 minutes after planting the seed. But you know better now. Because this isn't about chanting it 10,000 times until your voice cracks. It's not about waking up at 3 a.m. to repeat it with desperation in your chest. It's about the space you leave behind the words, the quiet you give them to work in the dark, just like those roots do. Daniel didn't stare at his bank app all day. He didn't log in every hour to see if the number had changed. He just wrote it once, it's already mine, and went on with his Tuesday. He took his lunch break. He paid for his gas without wincing. He drove home through traffic like any other day, except something in the seat beside him felt lighter, like a bag he'd been carrying for years wasn't digging into his ribs anymore. Most people forget. They plant the seed, then dig it up with doubt. But the ones who stay close to this truth, they're the ones who see the bridge appear piece by piece. So if this spoke to something real inside you, tap the subscribe button. So when your mind tries to slip back, you'll have a light waiting here to guide you back across. Daniel didn't stare at his bank app all day. He didn't log in every hour to see if the number had changed. He just wrote it once, it's already mine, and went on with his Tuesday. He took his lunch break. He paid for his gas without wincing. He drove home through traffic, like any other day. Except, something in the seat beside him felt lighter, like a bag he'd been carrying for years wasn't digging into his ribs anymore. Maya didn't check her email 50 times. She didn't refresh her orders page every 10 minutes hoping to see new sales. She typed it out in a note to herself, half asleep, phone slipping from her hand. It's already mine. Then she drifted off and let the night do what the day never could. It lined things up for her while her old mind slept. This is how the bridge works. Neville called it the bridge of incidents, not fireworks and golden gates, but ordinary steps that don't feel spiritual at all when they show up. Because real shifts don't usually come wrapped in a spotlight. They come in a message you almost ignore, a conversation you almost cancel, a bill that's lower than you expected, a number that suddenly moves. Not because you pushed harder, but because you stopped blocking it with all your fear. So stay here with me, and picture what this could look like in your own small moments. Imagine tomorrow you open an envelope you thought was another bill, and instead you see the words "Overpayment Refund" printed at the top. Nothing massive, maybe, but enough to make you smile and whisper under your breath, "Of course, it's already mine." Picture next week you're standing in line at the store, worrying about the total, and the person ahead of you turns around and says, "You know what? I've got this. Small, strange, perfect. You could brush it off as luck, but you won't, because you'll remember you planted that seed when you typed those 5 words, when you let the world know you're done begging for permission to receive what was already circling you. Or maybe it's even quieter. Maybe you get an unexpected idea while you're brushing your teeth. A small nudge to reach out to someone, check an old account you forgot about, look one more time at something you'd almost given up on. And there it is, the bridge laying out one plank at a time. Most people never cross it. They stand at the edge, peering into the mist, demanding to see every step before they take the first one. They want the whole blueprint, the map, the deadline. They don't realize that the only real work is staying calm enough to notice when the next step appears, and to trust that when you put your foot down, the board will be there waiting. This is the part where you can breathe, where you stop hunting for signs and start letting them find you in ordinary ways. Because they will. They always do when you stop wrestling the door shut behind you. So tomorrow, when you're paying for your coffee, when you're opening your email, when you're tapping your card at the grocery store checkout, pause for half a heartbeat. No one needs to know. You don't need to stand there chanting. You don't need to squeeze your fists. You don't need to wish harder than you breathe. You just let it drop like a small stone into calm water. It's already mine. And you keep walking. Because this is how it works. The bridge doesn't appear because you push. It appears because you stand still long enough for the next step to come clear. And the next. And the next. So today, tonight, whenever you catch yourself peeking at your balance or measuring your worth against a number on a screen, drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, breathe once like you're someone who trusts the soil more than the weather forecast, and remind that small, wise part of you that's older than every unpaid bill and late-night worry. It's already mine. Say it softly. Say it when no one's looking. Say it so your old doubts get tired of listening and wander off looking for someone else to trouble. And then, keep living. Because life loves someone who trusts it just enough to plant a seed and walk away whistling, knowing the roots are working in the dark, knowing the rain always comes, the sun always turns back around, and what you claimed doesn't need your panic, just your quiet agreement that it was yours all along. You're probably wondering, if it's already yours, if you've typed it once, whispered it twice, what now? What do you do when the mind wants to chase it again? When the old habit says, go check, go measure, go worry. Here's what you do. You thank it before it shows up. That's the part that feels backward to most people. They say, how can I feel grateful for something I can't see yet? But you already know the answer. Because every seed in the dark is proof that life doesn't need to see the leaves before it celebrates the roots. When Neville talked about claiming your wish fulfilled, he never said stand in a corner and hope. He said assume the feeling. Wear it like a coat that fits so well you forget you didn't have it on before. So right now, in the middle of this ordinary moment while you're sitting here, maybe with dishes in the sink, maybe with notifications pinging on your phone, thank it like it's already done. No performance, no begging. Just a soft, private thank you for what's moving towards you while you breathe. Imagine tomorrow, when you pour your morning coffee, instead of staring at your to-do list with that familiar knot in your chest, you pause just once. You feel the warmth of the mug in your hands, and you say, inside, thank you for what's already mine. That's it. No candles, no ritual, no bargaining with the universe. Just you, your breath, your coffee, and the quiet sense that life is catching up to your claim in ways you don't have to control. Or maybe you're paying a bill, the one you've been dreading. The number makes your throat tighten a little. But this time, instead of panicking, you whisper, "Thank you." This money goes out, but it circles back bigger. Because you know the truth under the surface. It was never about the number on the bill. It's about who you are while you pay it. And you are someone who knows, it's already mine. This is how you stay open. This is how you keep the bridge clear. Not by standing guard over every plank, but by letting gratitude keep the path warm while you keep living. Because here's what happens when you thank life in advance. You shift the signal you're sending out. Instead of, "Where is it? Where is it?" you say, "Of course it's here." And life, being the mirror that it is, can't help but send you more proof to match the feeling. Sometimes it's big and loud, a check, an offer, an opportunity you couldn't have planned if you tried. Sometimes it's small, a refund, a surprise discount, a stranger covering your coffee in line. Sometimes it's so subtle you'll only notice it when you pause to remember where you started. This is the quiet bridge, and your work is not to force the steps. It's to trust that the next board will always appear when you reach for it, because you're the one who laid the claim first. You're not the echo, you're the cause. The world is the effect. So keep saying it when it feels right. Keep typing it if you want to. Write it on the back of a receipt. Whisper it while you brush your teeth. Thank it before you see it. And watch how fast the mirror catches up. And if you ever feel yourself slipping back, if doubt tries to tap you on the shoulder and say, "See, nothing's happening," smile at it. Thank the doubt for trying to keep you safe. And then, come right back here to this soft truth that doesn't need shouting. It's already mine. You don't have to do this alone, either. Most people forget. They drift back to the noise, the scrolling, the old worry. But you don't have to. If this feels like a quiet place you can trust, hit subscribe now, not for me, but for you. So when the noise tries to pull you off the bridge, you know exactly where to come back, where this truth is waiting for you to remember it all over again. Keep it simple. Keep it small. Life doesn't reward the loudest voice. It responds to the clearest signal. And every tiny thank you you drop in the dark is another flare for the universe to follow. A gentle reminder that you're not standing at the door anymore. You've already stepped through it. And when the day ends, when you're lying there with the lights off, your mind might still try to measure it. Did it work? Is it really coming? What if it doesn't happen? That's normal. The mind is wired to keep you safe by worrying about things you can't see yet. But now you know better. You know that every seed looks like nothing until it doesn't. You know that every bridge looks like mist until your foot touches the first plank. So you don't argue with the doubt. You don't fight it. You let it pass through like a wave that can't stick to you anymore. And you remind yourself one last time before you drift off, it's already mine. And this is where most people never reach. The part that feels too quiet to matter, too simple to hold the answer they've been chasing for years. But you're still here. Proof you're not most people. Because something in you remembers. The real shift isn't in the noise. It lives in tiny, ordinary moments you'd miss if you didn't know to look. Neville said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Not by force, not by begging the sky at midnight, not by pushing your tired heart for one more sign, just by choosing, calmly, who you are now, and letting the world catch up to that inner truth." Most people flip this backward. They wait for the money, the bonus, the raise, then say, "Now I feel free." But you know better now. The freedom doesn't come because the number changed. The number changes because you chose freedom first. The mirror doesn't move first, you do. You breathe softer, shoulders drop, and life reflects that calm back in ways big and small. So tomorrow, when you wake up, before you reach for your phone or check your balance, try this. Thank the money you can't see yet, like an old friend already on the way. No pleading, no waiting at the window, just a quiet. Of course, when you're at the store, feel your feet steady, breath calm, and think, "I'm not hoping anymore. It's already mine." When you pay that bill, the rent, the loan, the card, send it like a letter you know circles back, bigger, softer than before. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it. When someone asks how things are, you don't owe them the old story. You don't have to repeat how tight it's been. You just breathe, maybe smile, and think, "I don't need to convince anyone, it's already mine." This is how the bridge stays clear, how the pieces line up, one plank at a time, no plan needed. When your mind wanders back, when doubt knocks, you don't fight it. You just don't give it a seat anymore, because now you're the cause. The world is the echo. You're not the question. You're the answer. When you feel that, really feel it, money stops being a tense mystery. It becomes another part of life moving through you, finding its place in your hands, circling back when it leaves, growing when you stop wrestling it. Keep planting the seeds. Keep letting the roots work in the dark. Keep treating your small moments like they matter, because they do. That's where the shift lives. Not in fireworks, but in the moment you tap your card and think, "There's always more coming back." If you forget, and you will, because the world is loud, come back here. This corner stays open, a soft place to remind you of what your mind tries to doubt. It's already mine. If this moved even a small part of you, keep it close. Replay it when you need to remember. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing the quiet path when the world sells the noisy one. Thank you for remembering what was never far. It only waited for you to say, "It's already mine." Sleep well, walk calm, and come back anytime the noise gets too loud. You're not becoming anymore. You're already there. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.